Namaste. The schedule mentions my role here as valedictory address. Uh, Usually, valedictory address is that place is given to a celebrity speaker from outside. We were scheduling the conference, and I keep saying in All India Radio there is a system. There are musicians usually invited from outside, but there is an employee musician inside. When an outside musician doesn't come, Nilay Vidvamsa plays the music. I am the Nilay Vidvamsa now. So I am going to play the music of valedictory address as a residential in-house speaker. What speaker? Okay, okay. So it is the same actually. What Manish ji was doing, I am going to do in a different way. We are curators for this conference, and I have been a curator of many conferences, and I am going to be. After this conference, immediately after this, on the 28th of May, we are going to have a conference on Hindu thought in ethics, Hindu thought about ethics, law, and justice. It's a jurisprudence survey. Jurisprudence basically is a philosophical topic about legal issues, legal methodology, legal topics, and ethics. So it's not about law, it's not about acts, Hindu Marriage Act or Hindu law or any such things. It is about the philosophical tenets inside the Vedic tradition, in the Hindu tradition, which help to reconfigure the jurisprudence thinking that exists all over the world today. The jurisprudence thinking has already been acknowledged to have been West-born. And there is a critique of that also coming from different parts of the world. But what critique can we give? And not just critique, what alternative we can provide is going to be our next conference. And another conference on Kashmir, how integral Kashmir is to India, is going to be the next conference after that. How Kashmir is a narrow center for Indian cultural and intellectual ethos is going to be the next conference. And many, many more like that in the pipeline for Indic Academy. So my role, I am the station master. Many trains come and go. I stand there as a curator for different conferences. And presently, what Manish ji did, I would like to do in a different way. As a university obsessed, university career person, my obsession is with approaches and methodologies. I am extremely happy that this conference has brought in youngsters questioning the existing methodologies. The Indologists and other Western researchers on Indian culture have foregrounded objective, reliability, validity, and all this inside research methodology classes and courses. And they claim superiority to their writings and conclusions based on that. But there was a paper in which the presenter himself, Giriratna Mishra, directly he was saying, my methodology is Guru. Guru Parampara. Can we project Guru Parampara as the basis for methodological conclusions? How can we foreground Guru Parampara as a methodology? How Guru Parampara, the textual tradition, another third point Giriratna Mishra was bringing was experiential aspects. An insider of a culture would bring those things into discussion, and we have to. It is there that those scholars from outside, they not only lack their expertise, they are completely reluctant to do that. and in their consciousness that they are unable to do it, they just show that that should not be done. That's not what is to be done. Okay, ideas like parampara, tradition, guru lineage, all this. Okay, if you are really a chronologist, if you are a real historian, then you have to give prominence to that sequence of ideas, which is Guru Parampara that we are talking about. And you want to move away from Guru and Guru Parampara and say that I am a chronologist. I am taking, what chronologist are you? You are standing from outside, you are looking at the sequence and you don't place yourself inside the sequence. But an insider here places himself inside the sequence and says, this is what I received, this is my received knowledge from inside. Right? And many such methodological challenges, knowingly or unknowingly, many paper presentations were doing during this conference. And we had wonderful guest speakers, one from here, Kashi itself, from IGNCA. He was doing a wonderful tracing of ideas up to Rig Veda, wonderfully, Kamlesh ji, and he was laying a foundation for Meghji, for example. What Meghji was showing from the dates and references, what these Indologists look for, he was doing conceptually. He was doing the history of ideas. I thought I should share here, before we trace Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Saura, Kaumara, Ganapatya, any of these traditions back to the sources, let us remember that already Western academics has projected all the Vedas, including Rig Veda and Yajur Veda, as dash-centric, some-centric. What is that centric? They have already projected Vedas as sun-centric. Actually, when Max Muller today, the poor fellow, gets bashing from both sides. From the Europeans, there is a book called Eclipse of Solar Mythology. It is all about how Max Muller is outdated. And when you come to India, all the Indians say, hey, that fellow was a bad guy and he did all bad things to Vedas. But when they call the book Eclipse of Solar Mythology, what they mean is that Max Muller projected sun as the center of Vedas, sun worship as the center of Vedas. And students, NCERT, all lower level school students are told today that Vedas are fire-centric. Fire is a bad translation of Agni, we know that. But they are already saying that there is some center. Okay? And we have Nirukta, Brahmanas and Aranyakas, which are already laying the foundation for Ekeshwar Upasana. So this projection that monotheism entered India during colonial period out of imitation of the British or out of competition with the monotheistic religions, Abrahamic religions, was a project, a conscious project. They wanted to show that the Indian tradition, Hindu tradition, was basically a polytheistic religion alone. There is no hesitation on our part to agree that we worshipped different devatas. And already in the 19th century, there was a Dayananda Saraswati, the founder of Arya Samaj, who was already decolonizing and countering the colonial idea by arguing that it is not just polytheism, and these devatas are not even devatas. Actually, if you read Satyartha Prakash, he talks about how the devata is the subject of the mantra. And the subject of the mantra is an entity that you are already interacting with. So it's not some god from looking from above and says, let there be light and there will be light, and let there be trees and there will be trees, and a male god, a pure male god, but invisible, formless male god, ordering everything, nothing of that sort. He brings in scientific, logical, reasoned out arguments to show Ekeshvara Upasana out of different divinities, different devatas already existing. And that was already there in Nirukta. Nirukta already talks about Ekeshvara Upasana combined with Bahudevatas. And Nirukta is already laying foundations for Adhibhautika, Adhidaivika, Adhyatmika and Adhyajna meanings of mantras. And from out of that, from the Adhidaivika and Adhyatmika, it takes you from different deities to a single concept. And Upanishads already are talking about Brahman and Ishvara, two singular concepts. So, whether you called it Shiva or Vishnu, or whether it was a snake garlanded and Ganga holding Shiva or not, the arguments, most of the arguments were bringing in, for example, Rudra. Today, in postmodern semantic analysis, in postmodern hermeneutics, people talk about making a particular part of the text as center and connecting every other part to that center. So you can do that with Vedas. You can make any one of the devatas as the Ekeshvara or the Brahman and interpret that as the entire other tradition. And that was being already done in Brahmanas and Aranyakas. If you go to one Brahmana, it makes one concept, say Savitra as the Brahman and Ekeshvara. There are Upanishads which make Prana, for example. Prana is the Ekeshvara. Pranava as the Ekeshvara. So you have multiple ways of doing this, and by some stage of history, we were already talking about Shanmata, Ganapati, Surya, all these becoming centers. So if that was there, Shaivism must have been there at that time itself, because Rudra was already, by the time of Brahmanas and Aranyakas itself, as part of different centers being created, different Ekeshvara concepts, different Brahman type concepts being projected. Shiva was already projected, not in Shvetashvatara, very much earlier to that, in Brahmanas and Aranyakas itself, to be the singular Ekeshvara, singular Brahman. Already the thought was being developed, and Upanishads were only trying to do that without, say, for example, some Rudra or some concept, bringing in Brahman and Ishvara as the concepts. If you read literature by our young friend Denard was talking about the Basavarna is talking about Rudra of Yajurveda. His book starts with Yajurveda Rudra. And most of the Shaivite literature, if we see, it goes to those concepts. When they are doing these concepts, and you as a chronologist, you as a historian come and say, oh, it is only you that you are doing. In 12th century, Basavarna, you are ignorant. Who are you to tell me that? Who are you to tell my Basavarna that what Basavarna was doing to project Rudra as the Ekeshvara is wrong? He is my Basavarna. And he has every right to project Rudra as, and if he is doing, he is already saying that it is not from Shvetashvatara, he is taking us to Yajurveda and Rigveda. He is already doing that. Not we make, sitting here in 2022 in this hall and doing, Basavarna was already doing, not just Basavarna, all the Shaiva gurus were already doing. There were many, for example, Deepaji showed, and many other paper presenters were showing how the Nurgal were already showing that Nale Nurgal were already there, and their Noor was being connected to the Nal Noor. It is, and they were already bringing their Shiva, their Rudra, whoever it is, from the Moola Noor. Okay, so that analysis, that counter colonization, if you want to call it, that bomb under Indology was already planted by Basava. We are only showing that. Not even igniting, it is already ignited and they are already exploded by him. They are only denying. It's a denial exercise. They just say, oh no, nothing happened under my seat. No, it is already exploded, my friend. Our ancestors have already exploded your seat. But they deny by saying that, he thinks that he exploded it, but actually he's older. I'm younger. I'm coming from, you see, your colonizer's country, the colonizing part of the world. So, you have to agree that Basavana was wrong. Why should I? Okay? So, that consciousness, fortunately, is already emerging among the youngsters, but just that they did not say it in so many words, that our all Nulgal are already bombs. Tamil Nulgal, Kannada Vachanas and Kashmiri songs, everything, they are already claiming their origins from the Vedas. And it is our job just to show what they are doing in a certain way, and that we are already doing. So that as a part of my role as the Asthana Valedictory talk I did, and I want to share again the success of this conference by making one more point. I would like to take leave of you. One very important point. Manish ji would definitely agree because he too comes from the same category. The present day social sciences and humanities in India, not only in India, let me share with you with my experience abroad. Already social sciences and humanities funding has come down in the West also heavily. Okay, and it is happening here too. See, Bharat Adhyayan Kendra is suffering with fund crunch. Zero budget. And it is not just Bharat Adhyayan Kendra, the entire social sciences and humanities of BHU is suffering. And we talk about the Tukde gang from a Tukde university. But actually their fund also has come down. That is why they are crying. They are crying in a different way. But if you look at our Deepadurai Swamiji, our Nityaji, our Arvind Ayarji, Meghji, they are all coming from a corporate background and doing wonderful work in this area of social sciences and humanities. Actually, the only weapon they have now in their hands is to say, no, they are not trained in the university system, they don't have a PhD, they don't have a university degree, they are not part of a department, a social sciences department or humanities department. But the world now is beyond universities. Universities are gradually becoming irrelevant. Knowledge, they have stopped being knowledge production centers also. So, today, these 2 days, our conference has shown that there is a whole story about Alexander or Seleucus going to a sage, a rishi, when he wanted to invade this country. You know this, it's a fable or anecdote. The sage gives him a skin mat and it keeps rolling and he is not able to sit there. So they wanted to sit on the university seat, but from other side it is rolling from the corporates, from all these ex-corporate people, from all these youngsters who have their ex-corporate experience. a new revolution is coming. Along with many of Indica's conferences, this conference also has shown that with examples. So, mind you, our detractors, please wait for the bombs from our ex-corporate social sciences and humanities scholars. These are doing very good work. I congratulate all of them and I'm very happy. Indica is going to be their shelter, their supporter, everything, platform for them. And Indica is also a university, an alternative university for the failed universities. Okay, thank you very much.